Welcome to Debate and Discussion, a podcast presented by Xavier Newswire. I'm your host, Aaron Albright. During the episode, I will be joined by guests who will debate a controversial topic relating to Xavier or current events. Our first episode is focused on meals students in quarantine or isolation have received. Each evening during a student's quarantine, they are sent an email in which they are to designate what meals they would like from the CAF the next day. Quarantine students are able to choose the same options for breakfast, lunch, and dinner that non-isolated students are each day. Community health assistants prepare and deliver meals to students 3 times a day, with the first meal being delivered at 7 a.m. and the last meal being delivered at 5 p.m. These meals became a topic of controversy, not only on campus, but across the country. Students at various universities throughout the United States have taken to social media to express their frustration with the quality of food available to them while being in quarantine. Some have complained of their food being cold, their order for the day being delivered wrong, or even just that the food provided for them was inedible. To moderate the debate on quarantine food options at Xavier, here is Grace Carlo.
You're about to hear from juniors Sebastian, Aguilar, and Aidan and Callahan about their take on the quarantine meals here at Xavier. All right, Aidan, how would you rate the meals you received?
Now, Grace, I wouldn't give the meals that I had in quarantine a 10 out of 10. Like, obviously. I don't even think I'd give it close to like a 7 out of 10. They weren't that good. But the point is, for quarantine meals, for meals that the school was providing for me for free, 3 times a day, they were pretty good. Like, they were on an objective scale, at least a 5 or 6, and on a scale of getting free food 3 times a day, I think I'd have to give it a 10 out of 10. It's really like you couldn't expect much more out of a school.
Sebastian, how do you feel about the meals you were provided with?
I will refrain from harsh language, but I have to say that if we're going by Aidan's star scale, then I would have to say that any meal that I had, the highest was a 6 out of 10, and the lowest, which is most of the meals, were around a 2.
Did you ever receive a meal you didn't ask for?
You know, it's actually kind of funny. One time, I just ordered a simple pizza, and they brought me an Asian bowl. I was kind of a little annoyed, because I wanted this frickin' pizza. I ate the Asian bowl. It was actually really good. And in fact, my friend, what was his name? Sebastian Aguilar, he also talked to me that very same night about how much he enjoyed those Asian bowls.
The Asian bowl was that 6-star meal that I had. The Asian bowl, I had no complaints on there for quarantine meal from that. However, I have also brought up my complaints to Aidan about the Mexican night food, like
Pretty
the
good to me.
enchilada. No, it was the greasiest meal I've ever had in my life. There was oil seeping out of the bag. I ordered water bottles with it. It somehow permeated the entire water bottle. Like, it was just slick. Even when I was drinking it, I could just feel the slickness.
See, I feel like the problem is you're expecting these, 5-star meals. These
Right,
meals...
I'm expecting cafeteria food here, Aidan.
That is cafeteria food. Sebastian, what do you think happens when you have an oily food and you have to transport it from the school to the hotel down the street where we were quarantining?
I'm hoping that it doesn't get all over the place. And if they had that problem in the past, which people have brought up to me, then they should not have given that to isolation people.
Sebastian, these are unprecedented times. What do you mean if they've dealt with it in the past? Sebastian, this is only been going on
they've
for
had
a year.
almost a year to prepare for this now. They've had trials and tribulations, sure. This might have been okay, maybe at the beginning of the pandemic when nobody knew what was going on. But now we're almost a year in, you would know what works and what doesn't, really.
I think my main problem with your argument is that you are acting like you're some sort of expert in quarantine meals and making these deliveries, when actually, if you look at the facts, it's actually a much more difficult task than you would expect. I mean, let's take, for example, NYU, a large New York University, a large school in New York. Now, what I'm about to show you is an article entitled "Bizarre NYU Quarantine Meals Went Viral on TikTok."
That's a coincidence, because I was going to cite the exact same article.
Really? Yeah, because look at these disgusting meals, Sebastian. And Sebastian, are you aware what NYU's budget is?
I'm not. Would you care to enlighten me?
They expend almost $15 billion a year. Xavier only spends like $500,000.
Okay.
And so you're telling me NYU, this school has so much money, even they have difficulties providing quarantine meals. You expect Xavier, a school with a fraction of their budget, to be able to do anything even comparable?
I would say that the vast difference between NYU and Xavier, first of all, the population difference, obviously. NYU is like a 40 to 50,000 student population.
True.
And so they would have more people in quarantine. And it's also,
True.
It's a much more urban environment. So they're going throughout New York City trying to deliver all these meals to people in isolation.
You wouldn't call Cincinnati an urban environment?
I would say that specifically the area we're in is not as densely populated as New York, nor is it the cafeteria going throughout the city to deliver stuff to people. They're going to the hotel and to the manor houses and to people's dorms. So they're not like going around like city streets trying to get everything around.
First of all, I don't imagine you know the quarantine route for the meal deliverers for NYU.
I would assume that they're...
Assume?
Because I do have people that I know at NYU.
Oh, yeah.
I have asked them...
Did you interview them?
I didn't get any specific quotes, but I did get general just musings about their experience with the quarantine food.
And has it been bad?
Yes.
So
they even posted a TikTok about it.
So you're saying that a school with a budget that large, even they are struggling with quarantine
However,
food.
I also have an article pertaining to NYU, and it turns out that this semester, NYU actually outsourced their delivery service to Grubhub because they just couldn't do it themselves.
Interesting. And
So they've provided a solution to this problem.
oh, so you think Grubhub is a solution, Sebastian?
What I'm saying is that they've provided a solution. It doesn't have to be the only solution, but they've remedied their issue a little bit better.
Sebastian,
than-
I would not call that a remedy at all. Are you aware how much Grubhub hurts the local restaurants that it delivers from?
The thing is that this is delivering their cafeteria food.
Really?
Yes.
That's actually very interesting.
Can I ask when you guys were quarantined?
We were quarantined twice.
Yeah.
At the
So-
same time.
The first time was in late September to October of 2020, and then this most recent one was like what, the second week of school?
About a month ago at this
Yeah.
point. So we've got a pretty intimate knowledge with how the food is as of recently. In fact, we got to see it evolve in a way.
Yeah.
And I would say that it's gotten better since our first time in
I
quarantine.
would say that it's actually gotten worse.
In what way, Sebastian?
Because the first time that we had quarantine meals, I got what I ordered.
Okay.
And this time, I had way worse, like, just meals in general. And I've gotten way more mix-ups pertaining to my meals.
Now, Sebastian, I'm gonna get out ahead of this before, because I know you probably planned on quoting this. The first time we were quarantined, I of course had the famous Skittles incident.
Yes, I have that in
Now,
my notes.
For everyone at home, the first time I was quarantined, one time for breakfast, their breakfast to me was an apple and a box of Skittles. But I'm happy to report that in my second time in quarantine, I never got a meal that was any sort of anything like that. Every meal was perfect, carefully prepared. Like, I never saw them stoop that low. And I think that
I would
definitely means
expect
they're
them
improving.
to never have stooped that low to give you just Skittles for breakfast.
Okay, first of all, Skittles are very tasty. And I can really imagine the person...
But are they a part of a balanced breakfast?
No, but I'm imagining the person who packed that meal for me thought in their head, oh, we're out of bagels, but I'm going to give this kid a treat. I'm going to give him Skittles. And I respect that, because I like Skittles. So I'm going to say it wasn't even that bad to begin with, and it's only gotten better.
All right, but you might not have been outraged by this Skittles fiasco. However, our other roommate has some choice words pertaining to his, because he has dietary restrictions. And you said you got an apple and Skittles. He's allergic to apples, and he writes that on the dietary restrictions for the thing. And they never followed the restrictions. They always gave him apples with every breakfast that he got. This is gross negligence on the CAP's part pertaining to food allergies and
Okay.
dietary restrictions in general.
I think placing one apple in a box by accident isn't.
They do it every time.
Crazy.
They don't even read the thing.
Okay, so clearly that is a problem that needs to be addressed, but it's a very simple fix. Like, Sebastian,
It hasn't been fixed in the entire year
how about
that they've done this.
Our roommate Jacob, are you aware if he has emailed them about this problem?
He has.
He has?
Yes.
I wasn't aware of that.
Same with even our friend Lamar, who emailed Charles countless of times about like the quality of his cat food. And then I have his quote right here. The response that he got was pertaining to him saying he found hair in his food, dead flies in the box of food that he got. They said, well, we see that you don't have a meal plan, so you should be thanking us that you're getting food anyways.
Wow. That is indefensible. But I mean, to be fair, Chartwell's themselves is a pretty indefensible company.
Might I ask you, how helpful and responsive were the COVID team members about meal accommodations?
So the first night we didn't get our meal the first night we were in quarantine, and I was the COVID response people that I got, who was actually my Manresa leader, my freshman year. He was just like breaking his back trying to get these meals to us, and they never showed up. They just I'm not sure if that was on his end or if that was on the cafeteria's end, but somewhere along the line it just didn't end up happening. And my friend, the RA at the hotel, actually made us sandwiches because she heard that we didn't get any food.
So let me get this straight. This is the story you just told. You're angry because you didn't get one meal.
They didn't give us the food.
Meal. First of all, this was the night that we arrived. How are they supposed to know what time we got there?
No, they're supposed to get it delivered to us to our dorm.
Why would they deliver it to our dorm?
Because they don't know when we're going to get to the hotel, so they would just give it to the dorm.
Sebastian, the time period between us getting the COVID call and us arriving at the hotel was 2 hours. I don't know how you thought in that time they were
No, this isn't
be
me
aware.
thinking that. This is what the COVID response team told me.
And I'm telling you that even if they told you that and they were supposed to do that, why would they need to do that? I'm totally fine with not getting a
You might be totally fine with that.
Especially, this is a free meal. You are complaining about not getting a free thing.
First of all, this is not only just a free meal, but, the people in quarantine are dealing with COVID or dealing with a potential COVID scare. They've got enough on their plate. They can't miss meals here.
Especially, we were coming from our apartment. We could have brought food if we wanted to.
We did bring food because we didn't have any meals.
I think you're just making a mountain out of this molehill, and that's all I can say.
Now, listeners, you may not be able to see this, but I can see the passion in both your faces. Aidan, give us a quick wrap-up of your thoughts on the quarantine meals.
Look, these are unprecedented times. Xavier has had to put together this food delivery program within the past year. They have no data to go off, no research to go off. They're just trying their best. And for trying their best in quarantine, I got 3 delicious meals every day. And that's all I can ask for.
Sebastian, what are your thoughts?
As much as I would like to give the benefit of the doubt, I just absolutely cannot hear the way that they have just not even paid attention to people's dietary restrictions, and the fact that the meals that I got, while every once in a while were okay, the vast majority of my meals just were not acceptable, and I would not wish this upon anyone.
Now let's briefly hear from a few other students around campus.
My quarantine experience with the CAF hasn't been the best. Sometimes they forgot my food, and other times it would have things that I didn't order. I usually would have to DoorDash a lot, or my friends would go out and get me food and bring it back.
If I had to sum it up, I would say it was a miserable experience. I missed a good fair share of meals. They went through a couple different ordering systems on me. Sometimes I had to tell them what I wanted. Then I evolved to me having to pick off a menu. But there's definitely multiple times where I didn't get my meal. And there's definitely a couple of times where I did not get what I wanted. And breakfast was the worst of it all.
Quarantine sucked. The food was horrible. And my mom gave me $300 for DoorDash because I hated it.
Now we are going to bring in the show manager, or should I say snow manager, Will Pembroke, to join the rest of the group. Will, what did you do during the snow days? And do you think Xavier should add snow days to the end of the year?
Well, the first thing I'd say is I probably didn't do as much work as I should have. That's the one thing I'll say. Basically, I woke up at 5:30 in the morning from a call from Xavier University telling me I didn't have school, and for about 10 seconds I'm like, wow, that's really cool to have school today, and then I would pass back out. Probably wake up around 10, 11 o'clock, go get some food, hang out, and then the next thing you know, it's like 4 o'clock already because that's how college goes. And not really as much as I probably would have liked to. I think one of my biggest regrets from this year is not bringing a sled for second semester. Definitely would have been a good move, but that was really about it. In terms of adding school snow days on to the end of the year, I really, really hope that doesn't happen. I think we're kind of like right at the threshold where they could do that because we had 3 or 4, I think, and I really would prefer if they didn't, and it would just throw everybody's schedules out of whack. But I'm sure we'll get an email in March and we'll have extra days.
So I didn't really get up to much on the snow day, but I actually have a power outage story, and those are kind of tangentially related. I live in the village, and so like the power goes out like in the middle of the night. I don't know if you guys were sleeping or awake, but that happened. And it goes out, and I'm just like chilling in bed, ready to go to sleep. And then outside my window, like I have the window facing this village courtyard, I swear to God, I start hearing like a siren, like like the emergency broadcasting signal thing. And then I hear like the lady from the Purge trailer, who's like, the Purge will begin in like 5 minutes. And I literally was so freaked out. Like, I actually went into Sebastian's room like I was a kid, and he was like my mom. And I literally went in there like, Sebastian, did you hear that? And he was like, no.
And you swear on your life you heard this?
I swear on my life. And then...
No, I can corroborate the story because later, like 5 minutes later, I had a friend that also lives in the village, and he snapped me, and he's like, oh, when the Purge alarm goes off, you're super scared. And I'm just like, so this wasn't just Aidan's fever dream? Like,
they really thought I was just dreaming.
So some kid must have seen the power go out and be like, oh, this would be really fun if I got my loudspeaker out and just blasted this right now.
We just started freaking out.
Wow.
Yeah, we were just like, I was texting the guy, I'm like, all right, we're in a Purge alliance.
Dude, I swear to God, me and Sebastian, actually, just in case, went downstairs, locked our door, got weapons just in case, Wow.
Is that why they shut the power off in the village?
Maybe. I hope not.
Big conspiracy theory. They were conspiring with Physical Plant to get the power turned off in the village.
That's not a bad theory at all. The Purge, but only the village.
Yeah. It was a campus-wide social experiment.
Yeah.
But yeah, the snow days, the first one I had a lot of fun with. I had a snowball fight with a bunch of my friends, which is the perfect social distance winter activity.
Oh, for sure.
Honestly.
For sure.
And the first day was great, and then the second one came, and I was like a little more hesitant about it, but still try to enjoy it to the extent. Then the third one came, and at that point my week was just kind of shot in terms of like productivity, and just since it seemed like an extension of the weekend, I didn't get anything done, and it just like I still have work that I need to catch up on from the snow day weekend.
I'm right there with you. When you have 3 days off, it's like it just throws you so out of whack. Like that week, you might as well just throw it out.
I feel like for me and my roommate, we just slept in all day till about 4 p.m. when we got up, got food, and then we like to play Wii all day and just defeat all the Mario games that exist. So we didn't really do much out in the snow.
Which one were you playing?
Mario Kart, but we defeated the whole game of Super Mario Bros. In one night. All the Star Coins World 9.
Wow.
In one night?
Wow.
Crazy.
Call Guinness, please.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it was considered one night since it was an all-nighter. So is that like 2 days?
I'd call that one night.
It's an extension. Yeah. It's a day and a half.
I didn't think you went up to midnight and was like, oh, we're done.
I carried the team.
Well, be careful. Your roommates can hear this.
Thanks, Grace. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to this episode of Debate and Discussion, including Managing Multimedia Editor Hunter Ellis, Show Manager Will Pembroke, Acting Editor-in-Chief Alex Bazinski, Guests Sebastian Aguilar and Aidan Callahan, Debate Moderator Grace Carlo, and XUFM for the use of their equipment and recording space. Don't forget to tune in next Wednesday, March 3rd at 7 p.m. for our next episode of Debate and Discussion. And if you want to give a listen to our other show, Newswire Live, it airs every Monday at 7 p.m. From Xavier Newswire's podcast, Debate and Discussion, this is Erin Albright signing off.